Alrighty, welcome to the next game between LsP EduarDa playing the green Zerg against SaDiStiC bRuTo playing the white Protoss. This is the second game between these guys. Last game was a PvZ where bRuTo was Terran and managed to rush EduarDa, who was Zerg, and then so EduarDa was trying to build a choke right here, but bRuTo was able to send the Marines and build up a bunker so he managed to kill the choke, and EduarDa wasn't able to continue the game because he didn't have anything at home, and once the choke was demolished, then he didn't really have a chance against the mass Marines. So right now bRuTo starting off with a mid-build Protoss style, and he will just build some gateways right here to be able to faster reach his enemy, and I can tell EduarDa is not happy at all, so of course he doesn't know this, but he might be able to realize this anytime soon if his Overlord just reaches there, and once he sees a mid-build rush, this time with a Protoss, which is harder than a Terran, mid-build rush, then you won't really be happy about that. But anyway, he's a really nice player, so EduarDa is the best LsP member in my opinion, and he's just a great player, and I think he will be able to withstand this, to be able to cope with this. We have a PP right now, and bRuTo paused the game. Alright, so the game is going on, and the guys are back in business. So EduarDa just starting with the choke, and he really has to focus on getting it up. Actually, it's really good for him that he's in the corner spot, because when the Protoss player goes for a mid-build attack, then they usually start off scouting the side bases, so these ones right here, and the middle bases right here, because it's always faster to enter these bases, and so enter and leave them. It takes more time to enter a corner base and leave it with the probe. So this is a nice spot for EduarDa. He might be able to build up, because bRuTo is not really scouting in the right directions, and he's not really sending another probe as well. But right now he will send his zealots, and as I mentioned, he's taking the middle side first because it's faster, and this is really good. This is really good for EduarDa. He has 2 hatcheries, which is also nice. His economy is starting off anytime soon, and he has his choke going off. And by the time the zealots arrive, he will have Sunkens and some Zerglings, which means that the other player will have a hard time entering his base. So he's trying to attack the Sunken, and the Zerglings are waiting here, and EduarDa is just doing a nice micro right here with the Zerglings. He doesn't want to allow these zealots to enter his base and do whatever they want to. One zealot managed to enter, but he didn't get far. So this is the time for the Protoss player to decide how to proceed. Some players go for 2 extra more nexuses to get a huge economy. Some players go for a fast cybernetics to go for drops and reavers. And it seems that bRuTo is just choosing the latter one. He is starting off with a cybernetics core, and we will see what he is planning. It can be a proxy robo, as this pylon is really suspicious. Proxy robo is a nice idea, because those Zerg players who go for a choke tend to forget about drop defense, and this is a thing that the other player might abuse, being a Protoss or a Terran player. It's Sometimes Terran players do the same, they go for fast drop and drop some tanks and fire bets right here. And right now, yeah, he's doing that. He's starting off with robotics facility and he will go for the proxy drop. He's just sending some zealots right here. He's just trying to harass this Earth player. He wants to make him believe that he is just trying to break this choke, and he's not going for any crazy stuff. This is a tactic that you might do. You can just send some zealots, attack the Sunkens, and then go back, just acting like you are trying to break the choke, and you're gathering up units and so on, and this way you can make any other player make some more Sunkens. But since EduarDa is a clever player, he's starting off with HydroRisk here, HydroRisk then, and he will probably make some hydras to protect against the drop. But since we are talking about proxy robot, this might be a bit problematic, because the Protoss player is really close and he might be able to send the shuttle quite fast. EduarDa has to start the hydras right now if he wants to be safe for this drop. He's not dealing with the choke, he just added one more Sunken, but he's focusing on his eco, and bRuTo is starting Stargate now for Corsairs. Nothing too crazy from his side, he's just devoting to this drop. This drop is basically an all-in, because if this doesn't work out, then he will be really lagging behind. He has no gateways, he has no units, only some zealots right here. So if this drop doesn't do damaging his economy of the Zerg player, then he will have a hard time. Some hydras are up and running, so to say. The drop is also ready, and so this is what I mentioned, that EduarDa just made some hydras to be safe for the drop, but if he doesn't see this in time, then it will be a problem for him. He manages to see that and goes for the shuttle, but since they do not have, and the hydras do not have range, then he managed to drop this Reaver and make a shot, but it didn't really connect, so EduarDa managed to save most of his drones. So he's fine with this situation. Because as I mentioned, bRuTo doesn't really have anything at home, and right, he has an extra Nexus, but still, as you can see from the supplies, EduarDa is fine with this. If a Protoss player is just like 20 supplies ahead, then it's fine. It's totally fine with you, so it's alright. And this is the point when the Protoss player has to continue dropping. If he doesn't continue dropping and let dynamic grow, then it's a no-go. So it won't work out, and they will just lose the game once this other player gets big. Another thing a Protoss player might do is to get here to the choke with the reverse and try to break it. But the problem is that in this phase of this game it's not really a good option. It's only good at the beginning, because once the Zerg player has so many Sunkens and has a big economy, they can just prepare for the reverse. So that option is better done at the beginning of the game. White player is starting to build gateways and getting built up. But as I mentioned, this might be a bit late. Yeah, and right now EduarDa is just discovering this little encampment and sees this proxy robot. But Protoss player is not really making any use of that anymore. He's just using the Corsairs to kill overlords he finds on the map, and also getting his base up. Same is done by EduarDa, who is just building up his base, getting hydras. This is the time when the Zerg player just has to get some hydras around his main and on the side of his base to dodge drops and to go for guardians supported by hydras. And bRuTo was also a bit late with the upgrades. He just started these forges and didn't even make use of this one here, so he didn't really upgrade anything, and this is also a problem right here, because you should already have like one upgrade on each of your skills by now. More and more hatches are being laid, and this is just a normal late game. Each guys are building up and trying to gather a huge army to fight. But the problem is that if a Zerg manages to get big and get a huge army with a great economy, then it's really hard to fight that Zerg. It's very hard to do that. Right now, bRuTo is just using his river to attack his base and try to break this choke. But as I mentioned, this is a bit late, because even if he manages to kill this choke, EduarDa will have a great army and will be able to fight. He's just trying to come with a drop supported by Corsairs, and he manages to enter his base and dropping all his units, and the Templar was dropped as well, but he was late to do a storm because the Guardians killed that immediately. Yeah, he knows that. It's not a good feeling, but he might not have killed that Templar. Anyway, Guardians are great defense because they shoot quite fast and they can kill instantly any units unloaded. So the Guardians are out and just trying to say clear these rivers, and he's not really paying attention, of course. He's just doing something else on the map, but he's just sending these Guardians back. Ooh, so many shuttles. Well, yeah, he's right in that. I mean, he's right making so many shuttles, because without drops it's impossible to beat a Zerg player at this phase of the game, of course. So he's just trying to go with the drops, shuttles being escorted by Corsairs. So the Corsairs consume damage and distract the Hydras, and then the shuttles can just go inside and drop. EduarDa is focusing on the drop defense, and he's trying to be safe against that, but bRuTo is just coming inside and he manages to save these shuttles. Let's see if he manages to do a nice drop here. He really has to damage the economy of the third player. But it seems that he was late with the unloading, and he manages to cast a storm, but most of the drones were saved, and EduarDa managed to dodge this drop quite effectively, and this didn't really make a huge impact on his economy. Righty, bRuTo is just massing goons and trying to get an army. The problem with this is that this mass is only effective outside of the Zerg player's base. So once the goons arrive here and start to attack the choke, they die. They die very easy. It's totally useless to try to attack the choke with goons without rivers. But of course the Protoss player really has to do something. He cannot just sit there and do nothing. He's just trying to mess, and most probably will use these goons. And I think bRuTo managed to break the world record of not making a drop defense. He has absolutely zero drop defense, and this is a half joke, guys. I mean, yeah, it's it's not a good option. You really have to have something, because if EduarDa just dropped one lurker right here, he won that game. So I mean, I'm just laughing because it's such a strange view. Almost 50 minutes passed in the game and bRuTo doesn't have any drop defense. Okay, anyway, so he's just trying to come with the drop, and but the Scourges are doing a great job. They are just dodging the Corsairs and went directly for the shuttles, but he manages to save them and drop the Templar late. He dropped that Templar really late, and it's totally useless right now because EduarDa dodged this drop and sent over his drones, and he didn't really lost any drones right now. This is quite problematic for bRuTo. He's not really hurting the economy of EduarDa, and he's just able to get bigger and bigger, and by now he has quite a decent drop defense. He can just focus on whatever he wants to do. Oh boy, if EduarDa knew what's around bRuTo's main, he would just send some mutas and and kill as many drones he wants to until the goons arrive. So this is the phase of the game you don't want to be in as a Protoss player. I can assure you of that. This is not what you want to see. You cannot really get inside, you cannot drop, you cannot do anything. If you can drop a Zerg player and if you can't enter his base, then actually you can lay back, go to the shop, buy some cigarettes. Yeah, as you can see, so as I mentioned, if the goons are trying to attack the choke, they die so fast. They cannot really find the correct angle to shoot these Sunkens, and 4 or 5 Guardians can do wonders. He's just trying to build more cannons. If he's not building cannons, he must do it somewhere else. So he's choosing the middle of the map, and this is his only chance to be safe for the counter attack. But anytime soon, EduarDa will be safe with Guardians. I mean, he will be able to go outside the Guardians and kill his units, kill the cannons. In this phase of the game, the Protoss player might do the following. Protoss player has to build mass cannons right here, as bRuTo is doing right now, and build mass Templars and mass Reavers, supported by some Corsairs. Really, that's his only chance, because once Hydras and Guardians are coming outside, then the Reavers might kill the Hydras, and the Storms and the Corsairs can kill the Guardians. Ground units are not really effective against Hydras and I mean normal ground units, so like Dragoons and Zealots. Okay, Guardians just coming outside and trying to kill these cannons, and as I mentioned, if the Protoss player doesn't really have Templars right here, then the Zerg player is easy to kill the cannons. Right, so the Hydras managed to come and save the Guardians, but they moved too quickly. They should have waited for the Guardians, but anyway, he's just using these Hydras to fight and make these units busy while the Guardians are just doing their job and killing the cannons. So, okay, he really has to save this Arbiter, but okay, so Zerg player just sending mass Overlords, making the Arbiters obsolete, so to say. And EduarDa is just trying to come outside and clear his way. He will soon have defilers and swarms against the cannons. Okay, bRuTo might be going for recall. He's saving these rivers, but if he loses those rivers by the time arbiters arrive there, then it's a GG for EduarDa. He really has to be fast, and he's just sending these rivers back. He knows he really has to buy some time because these hydras are just pouring outside, and if these hydras reach these rivers, then okay, they are safe with that because he managed to kill that, but the guardians are just coming and attacking, and it seems that he lost his main arbiter. Oh my god, he lost the main arbiter. That's very bad for him. So, even though the rivers were quite safe and didn't really lose many, he didn't manage to recall because the not hallucinated arbiter just died. So useless. And if I were Protoss, I might just tap out GG because, well, even if he manages to kill these units right here, the choke is still up, and the other player is big regarding economy and hatcheries, so it's very hard to fight against that. So the Devourers are just trying to kill these Corsairs while Guardians are killing the ground units of the Protoss player. Reinforcements are just coming and joining this attack, supported by Guardians. bRuTo really has to push and get as many wounds as possible, because he doesn't really have anything. The rivers are here, but once they are made, once they pop out, they die immediately, the Guardians and Hydras, and only gateways are left, which means GG.